And by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Papa no one file response and my case no call into default. Now after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now a case near file, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now the third one so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibribi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication or say onuna behind would the same be that means say Abiana no a trigger man and also no will be second and say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client or a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went undefended after the response time now, we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record. And the case went at that point. Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default. They argued that they had a solid defense. And I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, almost really see it. And I don't know, so say almost defense to a case I follow New Jersey.
But Ghana, so case no
exactly.
It's only a no case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation is here, say kind of the work for court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean to Ghana and from the defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, judge to me, so India, but to me, the two na senior, especially in cases, maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances, sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
In this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, we took it for what it's worth and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday. And we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, senior answer na ebe try case no you pick the difference between what happened in Ghana and see Johannes say no no trial by jury into no any judge or judge back one I say judge me no I say judge me and send a video no but normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and two and from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say
yeah, vetiomo just say obi nim asem hu bia na so onimu bia asem we fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no so we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, judge, in this case, judge, ometro emrano. Na omodiama jury no omechecho mu omekin kan achro mu first. So paper inside. Aqua decide the different deliberations. Me but me say make almost pensing okay. Okay. And you know, there are some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into no, yeah, I say we be an 4:30. No, yeah, caught a punk right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice in I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, yeah, no, I just so yeah, be at Nana, yeah, take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now the buy and the civil claims now the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court was say counting na mode bono no say on it and us back and forth, right? The only claim or make it or say banter. I just say we can't wait and share or no, they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court media that was not
and your son what kind of court no G2
yeah be or maintaining the position say no can originate or the standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember just or practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, or the move you try or in it too, who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're to from based on address, voter registration data. And to but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuel.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no be doing come and also cry no there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on take it on say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use that. I will not say use that common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, only to be a na edwuma kwa obetwa ne say obeka imra achiro mo achiro mo." And that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer ni contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. Or also a very astute lawyer onimumra pa nyo bia ye dreamer no. And some people walk cry a car on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, peace. Schedule say, and from this time to this time, staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I better say maybe by this time we'll be say grow or they'll commit to the right senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately, me Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million. Just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaints the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and he said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Muko Drew Hono. Anas initially, you have kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say, a woman saw $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of your experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, uno client here and ask Kasai and say, it would be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, no client and ask, no, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, no, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh, yes, and like I said, your lawyer at a Wemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come home. And Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So,
yeah.
The whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, $10,000 to end the case.
No.
I betrayed an who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So like to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say about to go with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
You pay a coin, we ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between German and Cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say busa into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court we say beba 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, depending on how that motion goes.
Okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and a So depending on how that motion goes.
So for now,
yes.
18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, and so we call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back 10, we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow. And sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home And especially when Kennedy presented a case we knew fear, which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, what have you I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you do you want to share something with us before you go?
Me percent me share all the young people in Ghana, me show them crying say yeah. Now the country is a young country. So I tend not to criticize too strongly. But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country, because you know, my only thing is that the young people see that it's wrong, or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But me American, I'm cool school from high school. I lawyer, and you know, I know America very well. And for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct because democracy, you know, say the system, justice system, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, you know, there's going to be a problem. And you know, I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray, you know, about 40 and less, you know. Let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we mono, you know, we're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And you know, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judicial in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have, that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves, because I've had judges tell me, say, I've suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, say, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on here, who wants to leaky judgment at this car before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
The defamation, now Kennedy Winnie.
Absolutely, because I'm now a solid, which back to the maybe can say. Before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, no, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that that's going to come out on this subject in a very near future. You know, for the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that
because
was,
one of the things
that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. The will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So the Ghana judgment by an court jurors when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal, because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? I feel it's quite embarrassing.
You know, like I said, our country is growing. The U.S. is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson because Ghana is not Oman Bia Oman Kitwa. Euros no munim Ghana. Ubanu just by dint of even some of your papa no cry motna hano amount for nim Ghana. Ufa Uber Krumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber Bia driver and I catch him say, I'm moving Ghana tourism country. You know, Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people. And we have enough people in Ghana. About judges now, because I saw say recently, judges know almost TV so they are educating people about the jury system. As part of our civic responsibility, it will also go a long way, along with amending laws not to allow more juror participation in different kinds of cases now.
Lawyer Evans Selassie Adeka, or somebody Esquire. So thank you very much, and I'll also say thank you to your colleagues that helped. In this case, Andrew De Gea, also Arthur Wemega Esquire, and Aday Crow. I would like to say I really appreciate your time. You've educated us and also made things very clear to Ghanaians.
I'd like to point something else. So there were a few things that I think I glossed over. I think I told you said the threshold that we had to meet in the US was much higher than in Ghana. And in that regard, one of the allegations that was made is that you are a serial killer in terms of multiple Chinese. What was appalling, and I say video by proof. Say proof say I'll be stand no say Chinese for video it was an embarrassment because some video be I mean say prekuna you namoya hangi wo unu say aboa hangi mamudia no so no
and then on be sure say
meaning say no kwemu na catch say no ana say but it was definitely what he said he was going to produce, and I think that really disgusted the jury because and it's not something to accuse someone of likely.
Thank you very much for clarifying this, Ivan Selassie Adeka Esquire. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate every single minute you've shared with us here. At least all the way are to rest for now. From your explanation on that's a case we end there. The response from the defendant, Kennedy Agyapong, the lawyers, so we're waiting for them to also file what they'll have to file. Now, I share where it goes from where we are now.
And just to clarify, any response, so omono and can for times 5 for no.
Yeah.
The assembly attitude just say no person na for the sake of transparency, no be any time now or yes we be yano na. Almost them there didn't better so. The almost them when you're there so I be 18 na decided say we have some decisions to make. What I say you be chairman na kwa appeal, but the thing is appeal the difficulty is appeal US hano. Answer no be to me appeal he needs to put the full $18 million down in a bond. Answer no to me file appeal no. And we I'm sure say depending on how that goes, we have the prerogative of deciding say we ever go for times 5 based on that 18 million if it stands, and I say almost so bad hypothetically even 10 and I say 12 krana will still decide to say was up with a nice offer so bit Canada. I'm not saying because I told you union or no no so a lawyer, we work on we'll entertain that and decide say okay ebia ebeje no mu a yen ko pesa times 5 no ana say baka say chinchina e bakwa koje times 5 no. Because there are certain other things that happen. There are certain things that also happen that will influence our decision one way or another.
Yeah. Lawyer, we will be on standby. And I know, sir,
okay,
we will come back for more clarification and education. We really appreciate you very much. Evans Salasi Adeka Esquire, he has been our guest. He is one of the lawyers of Anas Arim Yao Anas. Wachech and Senu Ejujum Emagana for Ehuno Kreno. I really want to say thank you very much to a year lawyer, Ivan Salasi. The other lawyers or counsels that helped him, and I said, Omoba together as a team to make sure Anas has a solid or had a solid legal team backing him. No, Mr. Arthur Wemega Esquire, he was part of the council, Anas lawyers. No, Andrew here is also part of Anas legal team. No, and Odei Crow was part, and as you know, lawyer Ivan Salasi Adeka on your screen, he was also part of Anas legal team. No, so I'm going to make a quick turn. Maybe I met your pictures. Any